Tell him the safety's on.
Ernesto, how are you? I know you don't remember this, it's impossible, but we met after Bring Me the Head of Machine Gun Woman down in Fantastic Fest. Phenomenal experience. It still sticks with my head and my love of 80s and Grindhouse. And to this day, I've been watching your career, and this is just like a joy to speak with you. So I loved Diablo. Me encanta. How's things in your world?
Man, I'm so happy to have this movie here, man. And I think I remember your face is familiar, man. So yeah, fantastic fest. So those days, man, I loved that festival so much.
I'll show you the photo. It's when you had slightly longer hair and
Yeah,
some funky beard happening. It was like a dome cut, but with like a mullet. It was awesome, just as your movies and your style. So it's good to be speaking with you.
awesome, man.
Well, I can't believe how many surprises were in Diablo. I mean, I feel that, when you bring up Marco and Scott into the same scene, of course there's going to be fireworks, but the way Elena just, falls apart, with her emotions and, like it's a game of cat and mouse that feels like the Terminator and Logan and Predator. I want to know kind of like what spoke to you and Scott and Matt and Marco when you were writing this.
Well, we started looking for the movie that we wanted to see in the theater or we wanted to make a movie that for us, and at the same time, I mean, when you do a movie for you as a fan of action movies and martial arts movies, people also connects with that. Um, so I think we connect with the daughter stuff. We all have daughters now, and we wanted to bring this heart to the story. um to add to these, brutal and violent fight scenes, but we need to have something to contrast that, to balance, and that's the that heart that comes from Scott and Alana's relationship.
Sure. And I feel like even from the very beginning, what I loved about the movie is how it was very quick to sort of let you know this is not the story you're used to seeing, even though this feels like a throwback movie. Like I have to say that credit to all four of you. There when Lucho Velasco and Elena de la Rosa were having that scene on the stairs, it felt like the most legitimate and captivating father-daughter conversation, honestly, I've ever seen in film. The way he was doting on her, and then he took the phone to pretend like he was talking to her boyfriend and said, "Remember, whatever you do to her, I'll do to you." Like there, it did feel very and so I think you answered the question because you all have daughters. You know what that's like to be a father. So that's just a tiny touch of the legitimacy that you guys brought. So I loved it.
Cool, man. Yeah, that scene is yeah, we talked about that, with the actors, that we wanted to achieve that. So I'm glad you saw that in the scene.
And, I mean, aside from casting Marco, who is an icon, same with Scott, I think putting them together, this is I think their second time sharing screen together. How did you discuss with Marco's choreography? How did you discuss kind of what was going to happen? I don't know what was more exciting, Scott fighting individually or the cement factory at the end. I mean, 4 minutes into the movie, you know you're in for a treat when those soccer players just, sorry, not the soccer players, the smugglers take a
Yeah.
tumble, and you know you're in for a treat.
Um, Well, creating the fight scenes this time, with Scott and Marco was obviously something else. We have made so many movies together with Marco, but now with Scott and with his experience and knowledge was a very challenging. We wanted to make something better, obviously. We wanted to take advantage of having him, that is at the same level as Marco. Maybe they are the best, in the business. So for me, it was a big challenge to deliver what people, is waiting. That is having these two huge martial artists and actors, crutching again in a movie. And we ended up being close friends, the three of us. I was surprised, not surprised, but very happy that Scott is a cinephile, that he also made movies when he was a kid, as as me and Marco in high school, shooting his own homemade action movies. And you can see that I mean, that experience that he brings after making more than 60 or 70 movies, you can see how Scott is 100% capable of directing his own movie. He knows a lot about action cinema and tricks and angles and everything, man.
Mhm. Well, I'm so glad. Let me rephrase this. I hate when trailers release too much, but there's a part in the trailer where Scott does a spinning roundhouse and sends a guy through the glass. But, that is just like the tip of the iceberg of what this film has in store. Whether it is Marco's character with the lead hand, or the amazing climax at the end with the ramp and the cement factory. I love that it just kept getting better and better, and it's rare because usually films rely on one big, you know. Amazing moment, or like Jim Cameron likes to do two endings, but it felt like you guys were continually in pressure situations the whole way through. So I think that that's a credit to all four of you. And again, the fights sort of pepper the drama between the scenes.
Yeah, the idea was to make the fights work as part of the story, and not just throwing fights just to have to check, that you have 5 or 6 or 7 fights in your movie. So that's always a challenge to justify the action in the story. And I think I'm really proud of the result because I mean, I think it, it is working, and also they bring emotion.
Absolutely. And even with Marco not saying very much, he still sort of emotes. And I have to give a hat tip to Scott because I mean his American accent was pretty flawless. Being from the UK, he's known for that sort of that style of speaking. To hear him speak with an American accent, it's quite a disarming element in the film. So, and that's just another thing that feels like it's a surprise after surprise. One thing I do want to talk about surprises. You impressed me a long time ago with Mirage Man. Do you remember trying to steal a purse from somebody and Marco gave you a roundhouse that knocked you out in that film? I've always wanted to talk to you about that sequence specifically.
Well, yeah, I always try to do like a little cameo in the movies. Sometimes I can't, but that one was I mean, I'm making a martial arts movie. I need to, get a kick, or something.
I
So,
just remember watching it on my sofa, after I came back from Fantastic Fest. I dove into all of your films, Kiltro and Mandrill, and I shot up from my sofa, going, I can't believe Ernesto got kicked in the face. It was so good. So I loved it. The other thing about the film that I really appreciate is how the music. Now I know that with um, Bring Me the Head of Machine Gun Woman, you worked with Rocco, but how do you view how do you view musical accompaniment to your films? Do you feel it needs something different every effort, or do you feel like you kind of want to achieve the same vibe every time?
uh, talking about the arrangements, the style of the music, yeah, I try to look for something special for every movie, something different for every movie, but the heart of the music, I think I always go for the same thing, you know. I I I mean with Rocco we look for that heart, you know, that emotion for the characters, that thing that is not in the we try to bring something that the movie doesn't have, you know, not that's a just a, it's not making it cooler, you know, it's looking for emotions.
Yeah. Well, it felt like, and I might just be making this up, but as I was saying, the film kind of felt like it walked the same line as the Terminator and Logan, but it also had a bit of Halloween to it. So I'm wondering if you were, um, when you're looking for a musical accompaniment, was there a certain vibe from, say, a certain film or a certain bad guy that you were like, I need this in there, I need that emotion?
Actually, there is I mean, two things. First, when we conceived this character, we wanted the Marco character to be more a horror film bad guy than an action film bad guy. That's we wanted that. And I remember when I was working with Rocco that in one scene I told him this scene is Halloween, you know. Let's go for Michael Myers here. So obviously he didn't do something he didn't copy the music and it sounds totally different. It's another, you know, composition, but the feeling, you know, it's like it is a horror movie sequence. That sequence.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like in my review, I wrote that this because taciturn means like lacking words, which is yeah,
Mhm.
has very few lines. But it said that this taciturn terror follows the two, leaving no pulses in his wake. I mean, just that scene through that hideout was just. I mean, he went after everybody, and everybody faltered. So, I mean, it was pretty horrific.
Cool, man. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you like it, man.
Well, I think the thing I liked the most out of all of it was how you used cameras. There's a part when Scott and Elena are running down a hill and the drone kind of follows them, which would I think be impossible for a cameraman to do that even with a steady cam. But even that's also the way that you captured some of the catwalk fights in the cement factory, which made it feel so dynamic and close to the action, but without being, too shaky. You couldn't understand what you were seeing. So it's a very crisp picture. So I wanted to say that it was nice that you could actually appreciate what you're seeing and not be, too gritty, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I gotta mention Nicolo de la Fere, the DP of the movie, for example, for those shots, those drone shots following them down the hill. Yeah, that was his idea. He wanted to, I mean, to do those awesome, you know, shots to feel that you're going with the characters, you know. And also, I like to that also I did in Feast of the Condor that I like to use the. Did you see that? I don't know if you
I
watched
did
that,
not see
but
Fist of the Condor,
yeah,
no.
I like to use the drone in I mean, not as a establishing shot of the city, the typical thing, you know, or looking to a like a the God eye, you know, shot following a car. I try to give it like a narrative, you know, intention and make it work that way.
Mhm.
And we have some shots like that in Diablo.
Well, I still can't believe that Scott did the spinning roundhouse into the glass and the guy went through. But my probably my absolute favorite scene is the part when Marco and Scott are fighting in the sort of first hideout,
Mhm.
and the camera sort of adjusts. So every time a punch is thrown, it gets sort of behind the character, and I'm just astounded that you're able to get that to work. So I was curious how that was able. Was that a drone or was that your
Th-
cinematographer?
that is a cinematographer, Nicolo.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a star of you know, action cinema. He really brought all those ideas and ability, like skills to this movie. Uh, and he even he created his own grip, to make those movements of camera.
Okay.
And he also was a boxer, so he moves with the characters. So yeah, that shot is made handheld with a grip,
No way.
going, going one way to the other.
You know, he probably was a cat in his previous life. Like you said, he's a boxer, but I mean, just the movements, I couldn't figure it out if you had to do that in post and zooming or the fact that it's human just makes you guys inhuman. That's just an incredible effort. I always felt like when I watch a movie, I always feel like, what would my 8-year-old self think? Would my 8-year-old self think this is awesome, or would it be over my head? This was beyond awesome, and it felt like, you know, westerns and different films that have a typical setup, they never really go away as long as they're done well. And I think that watching this was like me watching a lost Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but with two amazing martial artists who just are at the top of their game, and you directing them is just incredible. So, really, there's no question. I just wanted to give you a hat tip and a clap for that. So, you made my 8-year-old self happy.
Thank you so much, man. I mean, that's what we want to hear. So I'm so glad, man.
Well, let me ask you before we leave, let me ask you one final question. I believe you said in the Q&A at Fantastic Fest that the end of Bring Me the Head of Machine Gun Woman happened when the police really pulled over the car and you just ended the movie. So were there any sort of happy accidents or something that happened in Diablo that you sort of weren't expecting but you just ran with it?
Um, I don't remember something that big in Diablo, that defined the, the end of the movie. But the final action sequence, it was something that was not in the script as it is in the movie, because we adapted the scene to the location that we found. We liked so much that location with the tower and the ramp, that was something that was invented for that location, and obviously brought something new to the table and bigger to the table.
Well, I would say that as a director, a film fan, a genre junkie, you are bringing something new to the table. So it's exciting to speak with you again. I can't believe it's been almost 12 years. But everyone from Lionsgate, check out Diablo, which hits theaters on digital on demand on June 13th, and we will catch you next time. Ernesto, thank you so much.
Thanks to you, man. Thanks for the support.